like to call this the zoning board of Coventry meeting to order. We have a quorum. There's 5 members present. That's what I was going to say. And we'll do a roll call. You want me to do it or you want to do it?
I'll give it a shot. Member Doig.
Present.
Member Cloutier.
Here.
Member Locklade.
Present.
Member Ross Pelletier.
Here.
Member Ron Pelletier.
Here.
Again, let the record reflect that we have a full board for tonight. We'll have a copy of the last month's minutes. What say you?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the January 9th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, but by Keith and seconded by Ron to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Take a note, board. I'm looking at the list. So the January 9th meeting, Mr. Crow is here. He's not here. Everybody else was here on that day. But now with Mr. Crow absent,
Well, I believe
the-
he recused himself.
oh, did he accuse it? So who is the first alternate? And,
Well,
and you're the first alternate, Mr. Dog?
I believe so.
That would mean all members would be voting, both alternates would be voting? Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. I just wanted to make sure Mr. Ionati wasn't an alternate. Mr. Ionati was a sitting voting member.
Correct.
Yeah, but he wasn't here at the last meeting either. Okay.
Old business, we understand that the Louvain Doggy Daycare has withdrawn their proposal. Do we have to take any action on that?
no action needed. The announcement you just made is helpful for anybody in the audience that doesn't have clarity. No further action. That application does not exist at this point.
Second on the agenda is 4.2, and that's the owner applicant is Matthew and Caitlin Jester. AP 57 lot 34, 105 acres of Pine Road, in an RR2 zone. And the applicant is seeking dimensional variance to approve of the recently constructed stairs that are currently 1.15 inches or 1.15 feet, sorry. Thank you. 1 foot, 1.5, 1.8 inches from the property line where 10.28 feet are required.
Thomas Cronin for the owner and applicant. As this chairman is aware,
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the whole truth for us?
I do.
Thank you.
As this board is aware, we're here to review the site walk made by this board after the public hearing last month. I guess the board has any impressions or questions to share from that site walk. No additional information was requested from the applicant.
So, we did take a site walk and, actually the 4 of us, and, we looked at what's going on. I think, pretty nice setup at the house. Granted, where it eventually, landed the property line is, probably 5 or 6 feet in from the paved end of the road. But technically, it's still 1.5 feet from or give or take, from the property line. I personally, I think they did a good job. Making them move the stairs, I don't think is really that beneficial, other than I know there was some concern about, if plows come around the corner and they plow the snow might be, somewhere near the stairs, but ultimately, they're gonna have to go way in to catch that. And if you turn around and look back at the intersection where the property line really is, I mean, if the town truck came around the corner one way or the other plowing, he's probably gonna fall into the driveway if he's gonna try to line up to get close to the property line. I'm of the belief that, leaving it the way it is, would be the best course. And the only stipulation I would say to that is if he went to the hardware store and got some of those reflective markers, the poles or whatever, and that way there'd be no problem. And when I talked with the owner, he stated that, normally he parks his car right about where it is. And if you're familiar with Acres of Pine Road, anybody that's, over 60 years old remembers when that was a dirt road and there was very small houses in there, so it's not a very big road to start with. There's, not a lot of room, there's not a lot of wiggle room one way or the other. So that's what I have to say on it. And I'll take, comments from the board. Lenny? Okay. Are you looking, so basically, they're here to, do we leave it the way it is or do we make them change it? That's kind of where we are.
I'm guessing, I'm thinking that we should just vote on it the way it is, as it stands.
Keith?
I have a little bit of concern about setting a precedent of letting somebody put stairs so close to the property line. That's my only concern.
That's also my concern. But
Yeah, because we've had people in front of us and it was 25 feet from the road to the front of the house and it was a lot of discussion on that. Now we're talking, less than 2 feet to have access to a house. And with today's society being so litigious,
Well,
I just worry that we set a bad precedent allowing this.
I thank you for your input. Doug?
I think it's just wise for the zoning board to know that no zoning board decision sets a precedent for any other zoning board decision. You are within your right to draw upon the specific conditions of any application and any site to reach a conclusion that you feel is appropriate on that site and in that setting. And there's not a precedent that you would take from this, that from a legally binding perspective would bind you to any other decision that you would make, even in a similar circumstance. You're always welcome to just consider that for your information. But I think that's a legitimate concern. Yeah. The idea is that that argument can be raised. It's a human argument. It does not have any legal basis. You guys are always in your abilities to draw upon the specific circumstances of the unique applications and properties that come in front of you and to reach your decisions just based on that. It will not bind you to any other decision, even if it's similar. And there's no legal basis that would bind you to reach a similar decision in another context. Again, it has a lot to do with the nuances and the details of this particular petition.
This project, and I hear exactly what you're saying, Keith, and I understand it, and I agree with it to a point. Had this come before us before they put the stairs there, we certainly would have had to do something about it to change that. My understanding, based on interviews the day of the site walk from the gentleman from the town.
Chuck Phelps,
Yep.
I know that you had Chuck Phelps and Anthony Nardolillo there.
I didn't really, Anthony, I didn't get much, this isn't really, it's a basic conversation between me and Chuck.
Yep.
Was that there was a set of stairs that went directly at the house that came out. it was just a straight shot, and that it got changed to where it is now.
Yeah, I believe those were just the temporary, like,
Right.
working stairs.
Right, and, you know, they did a really nice job to clean things up.
Yep.
They got rid of the truck. They, you know, they got the parts that they needed. I mean, they're trying to do what they need to do. I think the fact that the stairs are there now, I mean, we're kind of guesstimating where the district, where the town line, property line is, and if we went back that 10 point something, you know, I don't know how big of a landing, or even if they could have a landing on the house, because the house is like not that far away from that whole distance. I mean, it's pretty close to the property line, right where it is. Other than, you know, redesigning the house not to have an entrance on that side of it, because you're right on the property line. Again, I'm not trying to sway anybody's vote. I just, in my opinion, sometimes we have to compromise, and I think this is the best compromise. I'm looking at it from a safety aspect. You know, somebody was saying, well, you know, people have to walk over there. They have to walk everywhere they walk. No matter where you walk on, you walk in the road, because there's no sidewalks over there. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's for years and years and years. That's always, I mean, in my other business, you know, I drive a big delivery truck, and literally I drive through there, you know, very slow, because you go around the corner, and it's not even worried about driving over somebody, it's driving into somebody. I mean, because some of the cars over there, you know, they they take their lane wherever they want to do. So, I mean, it's not a wide road to start with. So, I mean, that's where I am. So, Ross?
I agree. During the site walk, the applicant's contractor was explaining to us how they had to change the elevations of the yard because the driveway was, the road was pitched into the driveway, so they had to raise it up, and even the applicants weren't too shot in the arm with having it so tall, of the front step. So it sounds like it was more of they're dealing with the best that they can with the situation that they have. Could they have just put it against the house? Yes, but at the end of the day, what would that save? 2 feet? Maybe 3? And then they would still be looking for a variance of 6 feet instead of 8 feet. I like how they're angled, so if stars aligned and someone fell down, God forbid, someone fell down the stairs as a car was coming, they wouldn't get hit by the car. They would fall into the yard. It looks great, in my opinion. They've put some money into that property. So, I mean, as of now, I know there's people from the public, they probably want to make comment too, but I don't have a problem with it right now. But I'd like to hear from the public too.
The elder Mr.
Thank you. No, I didn't go for the site walk, so I'm from what I'm hearing from both ends, I know what Lenny's talking about because I've been down that road. But I think in this particular case, like Doug is saying, I think it's there. We're not going to tear it out, so we're going to leave it the way it is. And in this particular case, I think it should be approved the way it is.
My only thing is prove it, but to make sure that the landscaping markers, so, for instance, people driving will see the edge of the road, and also, you know, when whoever plows in there, whether it be the town or not, that they know, you know, where the edge of the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, have something there.
You make them keep the in August? I mean, is it just kind of, so they go get the fiberglass things now? I mean, no sense of really having them in.
No, just for the snow.
Mr. Chairman, Solicitor Igliozzi had a suggestion that might appeal to the board. And that was to put, lower on the property towards the corner, a street safety sign, that says caution narrow shoulder or something like that to address the issues that we're talking about. It'd be more permanent to what Ross is saying.
Where would that go? Like
At
in
the
the,
intersection?
Down towards the intersection,
so like towards the beginning of the driveway?
right,
Like if you're sitting at the house to the right.
to the right.
Corner.
Yes,
Corner of Acres of Pine and Acres of Pine.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, just, Mr. Igliozzi had the idea. I think it addresses a few things that
I
have
would go with
Come up.
something like that.
Mr. Chairman, I guess that would be a sign that would be paid for the applicant, installed by the town.
That's right.
It'd be a town sign, but it would, the applicant paid for it, but at least it would be at a little safety. I mean, the problem's the problem. It's something if you're gonna go forward with this.
Anything for the town?
No, my guidance to the board is that I think you have provided me with a little bit of insight into some of the rationale and the potential evidence that you've gathered. One of them is that based on what you've gathered, you don't see an immediate safety concern. And I think that's an important observation and finding that can be related as part of the potential findings for a potential decision. The other is that you think that from an aesthetic perspective, you see it as a good fit for that. That gives a little bit of information that's important for us to consider as we have findings that would back up that. I think that the one issue that I would not raise that I don't think is a good one to use as a rationale for the decision is the fact that the stairs are built. I think you should make the decision the way that you think is proper and correct, whether the stairs are there or not. The relief you're giving is essentially should not make the assumption the relief should be owed because they're built. The relief should be given because what you believe that this is an appropriate place to allow stairs like that to exist. I'm not suggesting, but I'm
From a safety aspect, pushing it back to be within the envelope,
I don't even think they could put.
They can't. I think no matter what,
best they could do is have a platform and then skirt the side of the house going
Yeah.
both sides. Would be.
they could do that. That approach would probably only come out from the house, maybe, if they did it real tight, 4 feet, which that's real tight. So no matter what, they need to be.
That would be in the code.
No, they would need relief, even if what they had, I do think they have a hardship in that they have a door on the side of the house that doesn't have a means of egress, that they have a right to seek a means of egress for that door. They've chosen a stairway format that brings that, about 9 feet out from the side of the house, roughly, give or take a half a foot. It's possible that they could have done that instead of 9 feet within 4 feet, but either way, whether it was 9 or 4, they would need dimensional relief. They would need to be in front of this board seeking some level of dimensional relief. And I think there is a legitimate hardship in this case to consider providing for relief. It's just a matter of your discretion on whether you think what's there is appropriate versus another alternative. And that's up to you. The one piece I wouldn't use as part of your decision is not be guided by the fact that the stairs exist. That's my guidance to you.
So we would be at this situation, because it's such a short, we would just, if they had to go with the other variance, we're just moving the problem or the instance. So we still have the same situation.
You're going to have, in my opinion, I think the applicant has a legitimate hardship to seek a variance. The degree of the variance and how appropriate the variance is to whether they want to reach 9 feet from the building or if they took another route to reach perhaps 4 feet from the building, that's to the board's discretion. What you have in front of you is not to judge whether 4 feet is appropriate or not. But to know that if you were to provide some recourse to this applicant, I think it's fair to know that they would need some relief eventually. Whether you agree that what's being asked today is appropriate, that's up to this board to decide.
So basically, they're asking for almost just over 1 foot of, 9 feet of relief. And the minimum that they could get would be requiring 4 feet of relief, 5 feet relief, if they went 4 feet off the building.
Yeah.
The building itself is 10 feet from the property line, correct? So if they went 4 feet, which would be, we can't do that, redo the stairs, but it would still, we're talking about a few feet, a couple feet.
Yeah, you're talking about somewhere in the area of 5 additional feet. It's possible that this could be changed and that you would save these stairs to be 5 feet further back. But I think that what we're talking about is the difference of they've got a design that brings it 5 feet farther out. That's not the only design choice, but that the board's decision is what's in front of you today. Do you think that the design choice they have is appropriate? And understanding that I think the applicant is deserving of recourse. If this isn't appropriate, there should be some fair consideration for what would be appropriate that would be closer to the building. That's for the board to decide. So that would be my guidance, is that this is either consider what's in front of you, or if you want to consider some condition to it, or to give them guidance, it would be, if you don't like what you see, tell them to come back with something that you do think is appropriate if there's a different version of this. That would be my guidance.
At this meeting, are we allowed?
Yeah, actually, it's a required element because we did continue the public hearing. So this is still a matter that is subject to the public comment and the public hearing portion.
Any other comments from the board?
Maybe after the public comment.
I'll open the, to public comment now. If anybody would like to come up and ask a question one way or the other, towards it, against it, just to have a question.
Hi, gentlemen, thank you. You need me to swear?
I need your name and your address first.
Harold Gore, 178 Acres of Pine, Coventry, Rhode Island. 02816.
Please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in front of this board.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead. Concerns.
Well, I'd first just like to say thank you to the board for all the members that went on the site visit. I think the site visit in this circumstance, I think brought a high degree of clarity, to a situation, that they have, there. And so I think it gives you good information as far as looking at that to be able to pass your judgment, as you mentioned. So I think that's a good idea to do. I'd just like to thank you for making that trip.
Thank you, sir.
No question.
Or do you have anybody online?
Wouldn't you suggest in the mic to raise their hand if the person online?
The person that's online, if you'd like to speak, could you raise your hand so we can get testimony from you, if you want to speak? Okay.
Make a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? The ayes have it. Okay.
Make a point that the planner made some interesting comments based upon the board's deliberation. So if you decide to make a positive vote, not only incorporate the staff report, but if you could incorporate the planner's comments on, as he kind of clarified, that'll make the decision easier to write. If you're gonna pass a positive.
And
That stipulation about the sign, please do that as well.
that's what I was going to say. I think we should put the sign in there and also put what Russ is saying on the markers. So if we can put those two things into the approval, I'll be good.
If you don't mind, would you read, or would someone who feels they got the best command of the language for a condition of approval on the sign help me understand what you'd be looking for? And maybe the attorney could come up and help give clarity on what the condition of approval that might be considered for a sign.
Sure. So one element of this piece of property, which makes it unique, is at the corner of Acres of the Pine and Acres of the Pine, where the driveway is, the town line is literally next to their driveway. There's 0 inches. And one of the concerns raised by the board is that a plow or school bus, something making that turn, wouldn't necessarily understand what's going on. So the condition would read that between the beginning of that driveway and before the stairs, that the applicant would pay for and the town would install a motor vehicle safety sign, which said something to the effect of caution, narrow shoulder.
That work for you?
Yeah, it does. And my only request is that that condition be read to suggest that um, that sign and the location of the sign and the eventual decision on the sign be deferred to the Department of Public Works. It's possible they may say they don't have a sign or they don't have a legal sign that would read such quite as that, but there might be another solution that is akin to it. So my suggestion is that the condition of approval could read, this decision is conditioned upon the applicant working with the Department of Public Works to install a sign to address the concept of caution narrow shoulder at a location to be determined, by the Department of Public Works. I think the idea is that if the Department of Public Works does not think that that sign is appropriate or a fit, or creates confusion or safety hazards, we would defer to them. That would be my suggestion. We can ask the applicant to explore it and then give the ability for Public Works to ultimately decide if that is an appropriate sign. Does that work for this board?
That works for me.
Yeah.
And then the markers would just be, are you looking for permanent markers at the property line or on the stairs themselves, the reflective markers?
Just like 3 or 4 along the property line.
Just for the winter months.
And we're talking about
honestly,
near
I
the
don't even know
stairs.
that it really has to be more, I think it would make more sense to be more towards the edge of the road and not necessarily on their property line. Because you really don't want, I would think, you wouldn't want the plows to be coming by there and digging up potentially, his lawn and all the stone and whatnot. And he's got some
Railroad ties, yeah.
ties there. Well, you don't want to damage that. So I would say at least protect, that edge of the property. So when somebody does come through there with a plow truck, they've got an idea where the edge of it is.
So the condition would read, the applicant should provide 3 to 4 reflective markers in the field in the area around the property line near the stairs in times of heavy snow.
During winter months, that's fine. What's your feelings on this, gentlemen?
I make a motion, we vote on it tonight.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Motion by Keith, seconded by Ron to vote on this tonight. All in favor signify by the usual aye.
Aye.
Aye. You opposed, nay? The ayes have it. So we're going to do a individual roll call vote. So are we going to exclude Mr. Pelletier?
No.
We need 5.
He wasn't at the.
We don't need
sidewalk. Does that
5.
matter? Okay.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Russ, we have to make a motion.
I'm sorry.
I make a motion, we approve this with the stipulation that the applicant works with the DPW department to install a sign that says something similar to caution narrow shoulder, and install it somewhere between the property line of Acres and Pine and the stairs, between the driveway and the stairs along that property line there.
And also take
And
it,
also install the snowplow stakes during the winter months.
and also include the staff report.
And I think what
Ratification.
Russ was looking for was reference the staff report and additional commentary by planning staff provided during the hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if the board is so inclined, you could consider waiving the ratification in this case. That's up to the board on that matter.
I'd like to add waive the ratification, and I want to reference the staff reports finding.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the application with the stipulations that were so stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, you don't need a roll call if you want to.
No nays. Okay.
Yep,
So do we need a roll call vote on that?
you don't need to.
Okay. Okay, unanimous vote. Mr. Cronin, good luck. Thank you. Having nothing else to come before us. Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made by Keith,
Second.
by Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, so voted. Thank you.
What application?
Did we make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
We just did, okay.